Hello, hello, hello. All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome, 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 everybody. I'm just gonna wait a few minutes for a few people to come on, and then we will start. I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you um, and seeing how everybody is and seeing how everybody's week was. So, today I was guided to talk about energetic boundaries, and I haven't channeled anything because the guides were pretty clear that they wanted me to discuss this topic because it's been coming up with a lot of my clients and in my groups lately. So, this idea of not only setting proper energetic boundaries, but also this idea of understanding that you are not responsible for other people's feelings. So, this is an interesting thing because I think all of us understand this topic on an intellectual level, right? Like, of course, I'm not responsible for someone else's feelings, but the way we experience the world is something very different. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. I'm going to explain why a lot of us do this, and then I'm going to show you how to tune in and actually be able to set clear energetic boundaries for yourself. So if you are with me, if you are watching, definitely say hello. I'd love to tune in with your energy so I can know who's here. And yeah, let's just dive in. So, the reason why I was guided to talk about this today is it's been coming up pretty much everywhere this week around. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Zara. Around this idea of energetic and emotional and every kind of sovereignty, right? And this understanding that you are not responsible for other people's experiences. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because many of us in childhood, growing up, we had this experience where our parents or a sibling or somebody would get upset, and in order to feel like we were helping the situation, we would take on the emotional experience of someone else. And a lot of times, if we didn't have a proper model for proper energetic boundaries, then we would not know what was our emotion and what was somebody else's. And many of us that are psychics, that are healers, that are empaths, actually came in with a purpose and a mission to be a healer on this planet. So you have this deep intrinsic need and desire and drive to heal, to help people transform, to help people get better, right? So when you came in to your family, you had that innate desire to help other people heal. So when you saw that your mother was in pain, that your father was struggling, you actually thought that it was your job to take that on as the little healer that you were. So you did. And then what ends up happening is the way we relate to our parents and the relationships we have with our parents end up being the relationships we have with everybody. So what we do is we then do that with everybody, where we take on other people's emotions for them and we take responsibility for other people's experiences. And the reason why this is so important to understand, acknowledge, and transmute is because if you are wanting to get to your next level with either your business, relationship, or calling in a new job, or really growth in any way, then this is something that you are going to need to look at, right? Because this is something that will block anybody from hitting that next level, whether it's a financial ceiling that you have, a financial glass ceiling, whether you are trying to call in a new relationship, a new romantic partner, and you're not having success at that. This is something that you are going to look at, because the way that we relate and the way that we're able to have a very solid understanding of where we end and where someone else begins will start to shift and change the way that we're able to call things into our life, okay? And this goes for client attraction, for calling in more money, for anything really, okay? Stacy says, I was the mother to my own mother. It's exhausting. Yes. I feel you, and I was the same way. Just to tell you, and I've told my story before, but I'll just mention it quickly that, oh, Emily, thank you. She says, I look amazing in this color. I love this color. It's like a brownish yellowish. Just as a side note, I have been channeling a lot of this really luminescent golden light energy, which I'm going to talk about moving forward. I'm not going to talk about it too much today, but I have started channeling new beings that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. They're called the Luminarians. And I have just started to connect with them, and part of what they do is they illuminate. All right, so I've been channeling this really amazing golden light energy that I have been activating within everybody that I'm talking to and activating within myself. So I'm starting to transmute the energy now. I can feel it. So just absorb it. But it's this very luminescent, illuminating energy through these new beings that I'm channeling called the Luminarians. So it's pretty cool. Okay, and let me know if you guys have questions, and if this is making sense, and if you can relate to this experience. So for me, I actually had a memory in a breathwork session of actually coming through my mother's womb, and as I came through her womb, I took on all of her trauma. That, I think, was like an agreement that we made before coming in, that I was going to do that. And then I basically, my whole life, felt responsible for her feelings, and I took on all of her feelings as a young child. I didn't even know that I was doing it until later on, but that also was how I related to everyone. And I know a lot of you can relate to this. This actually has a lot to do with that very what is it called? The narcissist empath relationship, which is like this thing that a lot of people experience to some degree, where you have this very empathic, very sensitive, nurturing person that feels responsible for somebody else. And then you have the narcissist who needs someone to cater to them all the time. It's like the perfect, it's the perfect, like, messed up relationship, essentially. So anyway, and this is something that we all need to learn as these very sensitive psychic beings, as these empaths, is learning how to separate ourselves from the feeling of being responsible for other people's experiences and other people's emotions. And this can run very deep, right? Because the reason why is, I'm guessing most of you, and I can see most of you who I know who are watching, you are healers and you work with people to heal them. So automatically, as a healer, you are going to be feel responsible for someone else's experience and someone else's emotions, because you feel like it's your job to heal them. And it is, however, as a healer, it is your job to hold space and allow someone to heal in your presence. It's not your responsibility to make them heal or be responsible for their experience, okay? So my extremely powerful mentor and teacher, Jennifer Longmore, says you can be the contribution, not the cause, right? So, and I love looking at it like that. But so we all understand this concept, right? So Stacy says everyone is a broken, stifled emotional body, and as empaths, we care very deeply to help others to our own detriment. Very true. Oh, hi, Juanita. She said she's in a training right now, but can't wait to catch the replay. Awesome. Okay. So what I'm talking about is feeling emotionally responsible for other people. and how to get out of this pattern, right? So the first thing to do is to notice when it's happening, right? To notice when you are going into this mode of feeling like you have to do something. Hi, Lydia. Feeling like you have to be responsible for somebody else, feeling like you have to do something that you actually don't want to do. And I see this with a lot of people that I work with because, especially as healers, we kind of feel like an obligation to help people, a lot of times to our own detriment, right? So, what we'll end up doing in our businesses is this funny thing where we do things for people even though we don't exactly want to do them, but we feel like we should. Like for me, one of the things for a long time was I used to offer live breathwork sessions, you know, one-on-one breathwork sessions. And for a long time, I did offer those, but I actually didn't enjoy doing them. I just did it because I thought that's what people wanted, or I didn't want to disappoint people. But I actually realized that my time is much better spent doing Akashic records and energy healing with people and then letting people do breath work on their own. But for a long time, I felt like this obligation, like I needed to give people one-on-one breathwork sessions because that's what they expected of me. That's what people wanted of me, right? And this isn't even true. It's just like a story I told myself in my head. But I'm just giving this to you as an example because this is what we do, right? We think we need to do certain things out of obligation because we feel responsible for the experiences of others. And this is huge. It can be very pervasive, meaning it can pervade into all aspects of our life. So it's really important to start looking at this and start looking at where am I making a decision based on what I think is good for other people instead of what I truly desire within my heart, instead of what spirit is truly telling me that I need to do. And this is really important because this is what ends up blocking us. Because if you are trying to create something and trying to manifest something that is not in truest alignment with your heart, then it's going to be really difficult. And you're going to say, why am I not being successful? Why am I not doing the thing that I want to do? And a lot of times, if you dig underneath of what your motivations and desires are, it's actually not even the thing you want, but you're doing it because you think you're supposed to. You're doing it because you think that's what other people want you to do, or you're doing it out of some sort of obligation. Andrea says, I feel like this is the greatest lesson of my week/life. Am I doing XYZ out of obligation or because it will be good for me? Because whenever I fall into those codependent patterns, no one wins. It's so true. And Emily says this is loud for me this week. Yeah, I know. And I know this is why I was inspired to talk about this week, because I saw so many people going through this and hitting these deeper levels of it, right? So this kind of thing, when I say it's pervasive, what I mean is not only does it affect every area of your life, but there's deeper layers of it, right? So even though we may have gotten to a place where like, okay, we are really living for ourselves, we are really living our purpose, these things can kind of sneak up on us in these little ways, in even these little ways in the decisions that we're making, right? Like another example for me is my husband is now working for me / with me. He's doing all of this back end stuff for me. He built my website. He's creating all these funnels. He's doing all of this marketing stuff, right? And it's great. And he's doing a great job. And it's amazing for our relationship. And it's really good. But there's these things that happen where I have to be really careful, because sometimes if I'm not careful, I will end up saying yes to something because that's what I think he wants, instead of making a decision that's in the highest good for my company. So it's an interesting dynamic because I'm now navigating, and this is all part of my learning process, how to not go into a dynamic where I'm just saying yes to my husband because I need to put my company first in this relationship. So you see how it comes up on like every level, where we need to really always be able to check back in and say, am I making this decision because it's in my highest good and I'm not doing it to please somebody else or make somebody else happy, or because I'm telling myself a story about what I should be doing. Okay, so this is really, really important because we can make up some crazy stories about why we should be doing things. And they can be really convoluted and funny if we break them down, which I love doing for people. But yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about energetic sovereignty, and I'm talking about only making decisions that are in your highest good and not other people's highest good, right? Because ultimately, like Andrea so brilliantly just said, whenever I fall into those codependent patterns, no one wins. And that's honestly very true. Whenever we make a decision where we're outsourcing our decision making, or we're outsourcing our knowledge, or we're saying that someone else knows better than me, even though I don't feel comfortable with this, I'm going to do it, because that never ends well, right? Because it always ends up that the universe is going to smack us back in the face and say, see, that wasn't in alignment with you, and here's why. I'm going to show you why. And the universe will always end up creating a situation to show you why. Because ultimately, part of one of the grandiose lessons we are learning on this crazy earth plane is how to reclaim our power and how to reclaim our sovereignty. That's what we're all learning in this lifetime. So this is really, really important. Okay. So now what I want to talk about is how to set some really clear energetic boundaries with people so that you don't end up getting lost in the muck of taking things on that are not necessarily yours. Okay. So one thing that, and one of my clients brought this up this week, and I just wanted to reiterate it because I think it's so important. When you finish interacting with someone, whether you finish talking to a client, you finish talking to somebody in person, you finish being in a group with people, it's really important to check in with your energy and clear your energy field. And this is something that I do all the time, and I teach my clients to do all the time, where you clear any energy from your field that is not your own. Because what ends up happening is, just by default, when you're around other people, you end up taking on their energy. And then you can be like home by yourself or just doing something, and you're like, why do I feel so icky right now? Why do I feel so down? Or why do I feel so frustrated? Or why do I feel so much anxiety? And a lot of times, what you're carrying around is not even your energy. And it can come from a lot of different places. It can come from actual interactions you've had with people, or it can come from old patterns, old belief systems that you're carrying from your ancestral lines, from your parents, that these are not authentically yours, but you're so used to carrying them that you're just carrying them around, almost like you're carrying this weight around. And it's hard to carry, it doesn't feel good, and it's not serving your highest good, and therefore it's not serving anybody around you, because you're not able to show up in your highest good, in your highest connection to spirit, so that you can give your highest medicine, right? And I know that's what we all ultimately are here to do. So the way to quickly clear other people's energy from your field, or any energy from your field that's no longer yours, really easy exercise. I imagine one magnet in front of me and one in the back, and it literally is sucking all of any unauthentic energy out of my field. And you literally just close your eyes and you visualize this energy getting sucked into the magnets, getting sucked in out of your field, and you notice the difference as the energy releases. And that's the most important part, is you watch the energy release from your body, and you literally feel the difference as the energy releases. And it does wonders. And you can ask anybody on here who does it regularly, because some people on here do, because they work with me. And they'll tell you it really, really helps. So that's the first thing that you can do is just always constantly clear other people's energy from your field, and that way you're always coming in with a lot of clarity, and it really helps your ability to connect with spirit. And I know that's what many of you already do. And then the other thing I want to share is around creating a solid energetic boundary around you. So I always imagine that I have this energetic tube around me. I don't know if you remember, Emily says all the time. Yeah, it's so important, especially if you're around people all the time. So, so important. So the other thing that I like to do is I don't know if you guys remember if you used to go to like the drive-in bank teller and they used to like send like that tubular thing through the chute and then you would stick your stuff in and send it back. I imagine that tubular thing around my body, right? So I'm visualizing and actually putting this tube of white light energy around my body that sets a loving boundary between me and the rest of the world. So it keeps my high frequency energy in and it keeps all other lower frequency energies out. And then what you can do is once you know that you're in this bubble, you can be really clear on if energies are trying to come in that aren't cool with you. And you can be like, oh, no, I have my energetic boundary and I'm not going to allow that in. So, for example, say your partner is really upset about something and your dynamic is that when your partner's upset, you take on that energy and you get upset too. You can actually stand there in your little bubble and you can allow your partner to have their own experience without taking it on. Now, that doesn't mean that you're like, oh, sucks for you. Like, no, you're like, you can have empathy and you can have compassion. You just don't have to take it on as your own and feel it, right? So you can have compassion and understanding and empathy for somebody without actually taking on the emotion as your own. Does that make sense? And I know this really well because I've done this my whole life. And I did it with my husband for like 10 years before I started to clear it in the last couple of years. So, this is possible. You just have to practice it and you have to start like attuning yourself to understanding these more subtle frequencies of how we take on energy. And then it's okay if you mess up because then you can just use the magnets and you can clear the energy from your field. Okay. So let me know if this is making sense. I was really guided to share these two exercises with you today because I think they're going to be really helpful for everybody this week. There is a lot of really strong energy that I'm feeling this week around manifestation, but also around even deeper levels of healing and transformation, right? So I feel like so many of you have been telling me that you really want to ramp up your intuition, ramp up your psychic abilities, but always, always, always with that comes a deeper level of healing, right? Because in order to get to these higher levels within our intuition, our psychic abilities, or connecting with spirit, there's always, always, always going to be a level of healing that needs to occur in order to get there, or else you'd already be there. Because what's happening is that there are always blocks to entering into these higher states. So when you clear the blocks, which means clearing old programming, old belief systems, fear, doubt, anxiety, worry, all of those things that we're carrying, when they get cleared, you automatically are lifted into higher levels of awareness, deeper connection to spirit, deeper connection to your gifts, right? So I'm seeing a lot of that happening and ramping up more and more and more. And people really being able to step into their gifts even more. So let me know if that's making sense, if you guys are feeling that too. What else? I think that was all I had to share today. I really wanted to share around the energetic frequencies, or the energetic boundary stuff. And then also next week, I'm going to be sharing more about the luminarians, who are these new beings that I'm channeling. I'm just kind of getting to know them, but They were activated within me yesterday. I was working with this really awesome healer, and she helped connect me to this energy that I was already experiencing. I just didn't know exactly what it was until she helped me connect with these beings. So I'm going to be doing some channeling this week and really connecting with her energy so I can share all of it with you next week. Okay. So let me know if you guys have questions about anything. And if not, I am going to complete for today. If you're watching the replay, definitely let me know. And if you guys have questions about personalized breath work, which is something that's been super fun that I've been doing, which I know you've probably all heard about, but basically I go into your Akashic records and I channel a personalized breathwork session for you, and I send you the auto recording of that. It's a really powerful tool. And then also I know a bunch of you have been asking me about Akashic records readings, and if that's something that you are feeling drawn to, I can send you the link for that. Just message me. All right. And then if you have any other questions about working with me at all, if you're somebody who's feeling really drawn to activating your abilities, infusing them into your life, reach out to me and we can chat. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, hi, Ruby. Yes, I'm ending, but you can catch the replay. Okay, I love you guys so much. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.